The evening sky over Cedarwood Lane was painted a fading shade of gold when Emily stepped out of the taxi, her hands trembling around the straps of her handbag. She had just finished a 12-hour shift at the hospital, and exhaustion weighed down her shoulders like wet sand. But tonight, something else gnawed at her, a quiet, cold worry that had been whispering at the back of her mind for weeks. Her husband, Daniel, had been behaving strangely. Missing calls, late-night disappearances, locked drawers, half-spoken excuses, and today, something finally clicked when she checked the joint savings account. $45,000 were gone. It wasn't a small amount. It wasn't an accident. Someone had taken it, someone she trusted. As Emily walked inside, she heard the sound of raised voices, Daniel's voice and another, deeper and older. It was Daniel's father, Richard. Her heartbeat quickened. She slowly stepped toward the living room, staying behind the wall. "Don't lie to me, Daniel." Richard's voice thundered. "I asked you to keep that $45,000 safe. That was your mother's treatment money." Emily's breath froze. Treatment money. Her mother-in-law had passed away 2 months ago. What treatment money? Daniel shouted back, "I told you, I gave it to Mom. She needed it for the surgery. Why can't you trust me for once?" Richard's voice cut like a blade. "She never received a single dollar." Silence. A deep, deadly silence. Emily felt her knees weaken. Daniel had taken $45,000, and lied about it. Richard stepped closer. Emily could hear his heavy breathing, the rage boiling in his veins. "Tell me the truth, Daniel," he said, quieter this time. "Where is the money?" Daniel's hands shook. His voice cracked. I can't tell you." Emily felt her heartbeat in her throat. She stepped forward before she even realized it. "Daniel," she said, her voice trembling, "what have you done?" Daniel jerked in shock. His eyes widened, guilt flooding across his face. Richard turned toward her, anger fading into worry. Emily repeated, "Daniel, where is the money?" Daniel wiped a hand across his face. "You wouldn't understand. Try me," Emily whispered. He finally broke down. "I invested it, all of it," he confessed. "A guy the first met at work said he had a guaranteed crypto shortcut. A $45,000 investment doubling in 2 weeks. I thought I could return it before you or Dad ever found out." Emily's stomach dropped. "You gambled the entire savings on a scam." "I thought I was helping," Daniel shouted. "I wanted a better life for us. A new house, a new car, I did it for you." Richard slammed the table. "For her. She works 12 hours a day saving other people's lives, and you're throwing yours away." Daniel broke. He sat down and covered his face with his hands. "It's gone," he whispered. "All of it." Emily walked backward slowly, feeling her world collapse. Rent, bills, their emergency fund, her future, her trust, everything, gone with one stupid decision. She felt a burning pain in her chest. "Daniel," she whispered, "you didn't just lose money, you lost trust." Daniel reached toward her. "Emily, please." But she stepped back. "I need air," she said softly. "I need to think." She walked outside, closing the door behind her. She stood on the front porch, letting the cold evening air hit her face. Her heart hurt so deeply she felt like she couldn't breathe. Inside, she heard Richard say quietly, "You didn't just fail as a son, you failed as a husband." Daniel's broken sobs followed. Emily sank onto the porch steps, tears finally streaming down her cheeks. And for the first time in her marriage, she wondered if love was enough to fix something so deeply broken. To be continued. The next morning, Emily returned home after spending the night at her sister's. She didn't sleep. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Daniel's face, his guilt, his shame, his desperation. Her heart ached for him, but her mind screamed that she couldn't ignore what he had done. As she entered the house, she expected silence. But instead, she heard whispers, low, agitated, frantic whispers coming from the basement. She froze. Daniel. And someone else. She quietly stepped toward the basement door and slowly opened it just enough to listen. "I told you, I don't have more money," Daniel said desperately. A cold voice responded, "Then you better find some. You think we play games for fun. You owe us $45,000, and you want to walk away alive. Emily's blood ran cold. This wasn't a scam. This was a criminal loan. She stumbled back, hand over her mouth. Daniel had lied again. It wasn't an investment. It wasn't crypto. It was a loan from dangerous people. Emily rushed upstairs to call the police, but stopped. If she involved the police, these people might hurt Daniel. They might hurt her. They might burn the whole house down. She felt trapped, just like Daniel. She took a deep breath and mounted the courage she didn't know she had. Then she walked downstairs. The two men turned, one tattooed, tall, with icy eyes. The other smaller but mean-looking. Daniel stood between them, shaking. Emily stepped forward. "What do you want?" she asked. The tall man smiled coldly. "Simple. Our money. $45,000. Emily swallowed hard. "If we give you the money, you leave us alone. Forever," the tattooed man said. "We're businessmen, not monsters." Emily turned to Daniel. "You should have told me." Daniel's eyes filled with tears. "I was scared. Of them?" she asked. He shook his head. "Of losing you." Her heart clenched. For a moment, she saw the man she married, the man who loved her more than anything. She turned to the tattooed man. "Give us 48 hours. Both men exchanged a look. 36, the man said. "No more." And they left. Daniel collapsed to the floor, sobbing. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." Emily knelt beside him. "We'll find a way," she whispered. "But you have to trust me now." Over the next hours, Emily did something she never imagined. She went through their old papers, sold jewelry, arranged an emergency loan from her hospital savings plan, and borrowed from her sister. Not because Daniel deserved it, but because she didn't want a grave in her backyard. By midnight, they had gathered $41,000. "We're still short," Daniel whispered. Emily closed her eyes. There was only one thing left. Her late mother's emerald ring, worth around $4,000. The last thing she ever had from her. Hands shaking, she placed it on the table. "For our safety," she whispered. "Not for forgiveness." Daniel cried again. The next evening, they met the men at an old warehouse. Emily handed him a black bag stuffed with cash. The tattooed man counted quickly, nodded, and said, "You two got lucky. Most don't walk away alive." Before leaving, he glanced at Daniel. "Next time you play with money, make sure it's your own." They disappeared into the night. Emily and Daniel stood there, trembling, breathing cold air. When they returned home, Emily finally spoke. "Daniel, I can't promise what happens next," she said softly. "But I'm choosing to stay, for now. Not for love, not for marriage, but because you need to rebuild yourself, before you can rebuild us." Daniel nodded, tears falling. "I will, I swear." And for the first time, Emily believed him. Not because he said it, but because he had finally understood the cost of his mistakes. Not just the $45,000, but everything else he almost lost.